Picture this: a dramatic clash of wills between state leaders and the federal government, playing out on the streets of Chicago, where tensions are boiling over into real-world confrontations. It's a story that hits at the heart of American governance. Who really calls the shots when it comes to public safety and law enforcement? But here's where it gets controversial. Is this a necessary step to restore order, or an overreach that undermines local autonomy? Let's dive in and unpack the details, step by step, so even if you're new to these political dramas, you'll grasp the full picture. On Saturday, Illinois Governor JB Pritzker took to social media to express his frustration, revealing that despite his firm refusals to allow federal intervention in Chicago, President Donald Trump is pushing ahead with plans to deploy 300 members of the National Guard. Pritzker described it as an ultimatum from the Trump administration. Mobilize your own forces, or we'll do it for you. He went on to announce that the administration intends to federalize these Illinois National Guard troops in the coming hours, highlighting the escalating friction between local officials and Washington. This move was confirmed by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem during an interview with conservative host Benny Johnson on Friday. "I submitted a request to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth," Noem explained, noting that the reinforcements would arrive within the next 24 hours. She also mentioned a similar request for Portland, Oregon, underscoring a pattern of federal actions in multiple cities. The catalyst for this deployment appears to be a tense incident that unfolded Saturday morning near the intersection of 39th Place and S. Kedzie Avenue in Chicago. According to DHS's top spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin, law enforcement officers on patrol were reportedly rammed by vehicles and surrounded by about 10 cars, leading to a heated altercation. McLaughlin detailed on X, formerly Twitter, that the agents couldn't maneuver their vehicles and had to exit them. One of the drivers involved was armed with a semi-automatic weapon, prompting the officers to use defensive force and fire shots at what she described as an armed U.S. citizen. The individual, who was already on Homeland Security's watch list, drove themselves to the hospital for treatment of their injuries. In response, Noem emphasized the need for additional support. "I'm sending in more special operations teams to secure the area," she stated in a public message. "Backup is en route. If you spot a law enforcement officer today, take a moment to show your appreciation." This reflects a broader strategy under Trump, who has repeatedly threatened to deploy the National Guard to various cities, especially those led by Democrats, to combat rising crime rates and strengthen immigration enforcement efforts. For instance, he previously sent Guard members to Washington, D.C. in August, where they assisted in securing transit systems, parks, and other public spaces. Noem reinforced this stance in her interview, declaring, "This nation operates under the rule of law. If the laws don't suit you, work to change them through proper channels. We're upholding them, and that's a signal to the entire world." And this is the part most people miss. While some see this as a straightforward enforcement of federal authority, others view it as a political maneuver that could set a dangerous precedent for how power is balanced in America. Governor Pritzker hasn't held back in voicing his opposition to Trump and these federal deployment threats. He argues that such actions would pull dedicated Americans away from their everyday jobs and loved ones, turning them into participants in what he calls a stage spectacle, rather than a genuine push for public safety. For Donald Trump, this isn't truly about protecting people, Pritzker asserted. It's fundamentally about asserting dominance. He also targeted Noem and Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino, who were in Illinois on Friday, overseeing immigration and customs enforcement (ICE) operations, accusing them of unprecedented acts of hostility toward Illinois residents and citizens. To illustrate the on-the-ground realities, consider the events from Friday's ICE activities in Chicago. Eyewitness accounts and video footage reviewed by ABC News captured a moment where Border Patrol agents seemed to release a chemical irritant from their vehicle toward bystanders. Andrew Denton, who was nearby grabbing groceries, recounted parking his car and hearing a disturbance. He approached and saw a person on a scooter obstructing a white truck. No one was acting violently, just some shouting and gestures, Denton explained. Then I spotted the ICE agents inside the truck. They lowered the window and sprayed tear gas. My face stung, my eyes watered, and I struggled to breathe for about 10 minutes. He emphasized there was no protest or aggression. People were simply irritated by the ICE presence. There was absolutely no justification for using tear gas on us, he added. Despite requests, DHS did not provide a response to ABC News regarding this episode. Another troubling incident occurred during the same ICE operations at Humboldt Park Health, where Chicago Alderman Jesse Fuentes reported being handcuffed by an agent after questioning their actions and requesting to see a warrant. These stories paint a vivid picture of the friction on the streets, where everyday interactions can quickly escalate. Meanwhile, the administration has been promoting its ICE initiatives in Chicago through polished media. Noem shared a video on X featuring cinematic music and footage of agents conducting arrests, with the caption, "Chicago, we're here to support you." Pritzker, however, criticized Noem's approach, pointing out her habit of creating ads and social media content around these raids. "This isn't about seeking justice," he said. "It's all geared toward producing viral videos." Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This situation raises profound questions about federalism in the U.S. On one hand, proponents might argue that the federal government has a duty to intervene when local efforts fall short, ensuring national security and uniform law enforcement. But here's the controversial twist. Critics contend this could erode state rights, turning cities into battlegrounds for political points rather than collaborative problem-solving. Is deploying troops a bold stand against chaos or a risky gamble that divides communities further? And what about the use of force in these incidents? Necessary defense or excessive escalation? These are debates that cut to the core of democracy. What do you think? Should the federal government have the power to override state leaders in matters like this? Or does it risk undermining local governance? Do you side with the administration's view of enforcing laws at all costs, or with the governor's concerns about political theater? Share your opinions in the comments. Let's hear from all sides and keep the conversation going.